Okay, guys, so we got like 5 videos for the day. So enjoy the beer bug updates. The way we pick things, right, is we go through the trending topics and the stuff that's interesting. We have a whole aggregate, like a thing that aggregates all the news, and we basically make videos on what we find interesting. Now, at the end of the day, there's a lot. There is a lot that's happened today, and I don't want to miss any of it because A, everybody's at home anyway, so enjoy the news, and B, it's important stuff. It really is important stuff that we're going to cover today. It mightn't seem like it, but there's definitely moves being made. So let's jump into it. Let me know what you think. I can't do the 5 all the time. I can only do 5 because I'm on holidays at the moment, and I've got to go back to work next week. So, yeah, enjoy. Beer bug updates. But let's jump into it. So Republican Rep. Bryan Steil introduces a bill to rescind the $25 million from the Kennedy Center and the beer bug package as they have laid off musicians. Someone might watch my channel because this is what we actually suggested yesterday. I'm joking about the watching my channel thing, but yeah, still. Republican Wisconsin Rep. Bryan Steil introduced a bill on Friday to rescind the $25 million from the Kennedy Center that was included in the $2 trillion beer bug package, as they have laid off musicians. Steil's bill, which has 15 co-sponsors, including House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, would pull the $25 million from the Kennedy Center. According to Steil, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi was likely one who had the idea for funding the Kennedy in the first place. Now, I don't care who funded it, okay? I don't care about that. What I care about is them laying off workers, and that's where I agree with. In the phone call with the Daily Caller, Steil said, "So in negotiating this bill, Nancy Pelosi holds up getting relief to America to try and get this other things in the bill. So the day the House passed this bill, I drove from Janesville, Wisconsin to Washington, D.C. to be there. I spoke on the bill, spoke about how I thought the funding for the Kennedy Center was inappropriate." You shouldn't really highlight that, mate. "And then, before I left Washington, D.C., drove back home the day the bill was passed. The day we passed the bill. I dropped this bill into the hopper and introduced it into start day one. The moment after we passed the bill to begin working on improvements and getting it out of the bill. Inappropriate funding a handful of days later after this is passed, and you find out the Kennedy Center is laying off people. This is almost the icing on the cake," Steil continued. So, I have a bit of a problem with the way he's going about this. At the end of the day, this is seeming like more like, I never wanted to fund this in the first place, and now I'm using this as an excuse. And that's where I have a bit of a problem. I think at the end of the day, it's fine to give funding to museums and stuff like that if they've got no people coming in, especially if they're not, government funded, they're private funded, stuff like that. We always need the arts and stuff like that, fine. But you can make that argument. But him highlighting the fact that he was never for this bill in the first place, and then it's like, oh, wait, here we go, oh, look, this is an excuse. That, I think, is a mistake. I think it would have been better and it would have a better chance of passing if it was more not that this was a mistake and here's an excuse, but this is the center that's laying off these people because even after they received the package. So that to me is a different fork in the road that he would have been better off going down. And I think that would be more likely to pass. I'm not saying lie or anything like that, but I would have rathered someone else submit this bill that wasn't so against it in the first place. And maybe not even this, but maybe put in a clause that gets added to the bill where all businesses, if they fire more than 10%, for example, then they have their money pulled or something like that. Make it something more than just him laser focusing on a building or a group or a corporation or an entity, whatever you want to call it, the museum, the Kennedy Art Center. Focusing on that, then You know what I mean? It comes across as a bit of I didn't want to fund this in the first place. Nancy Pelosi made us. Now we're going to use this as an excuse. And that's where I think it's a bit of a misstep. But anyway. Nancy Pelosi literally held up the bill for days to get her project's interest. She had the choice of words. Fiddlers, because it was the fiddlers, the violin players, all the musicians the Kennedy Center had got laid off, Steil said on Monday night on Fox News. Now, I agree with him. If they're laying off workers and receiving $25 million, that money should be rescinded. I totally agree with that. I just agree with the message that's being used to push this. This comes as the Kennedy Center as an email to the musicians on the orchestra saying that their checks would be cut off starting April 13th. The Washington Free Beacon first reported this is happening just hours after the news they received. Just hours after the news they received the news. What? I think it's supposed to be just hours after the news that they would receive the $25 million from the Corona package. Someone obviously has, stuffed up there. The advisory committee was broadsided today during our conversation with the Kennedy president. Deborah, in an email, informed us that they had a paycheck from all musicians and librarians will be held up to the April 3rd, and that will be musicians and librarians will be April 3rd. So the last paycheck. I'm trying to skim through this because this is stuff we've already covered yesterday. But the last paycheck for all musicians and librarians will be April 3rd and will be not paid again until the center reopens. Everyone should proceed as if their last paycheck will be the April 3rd. It continues, we understand this will come as a shock to you as it did to us. Still hopes to get continued support from his colleagues in the House and on his bill in order to bring it to the floor for a vote. White House refused to comment on the matter when asked by the Daily Caller, which is interesting because now obviously the White House knows about it. Look, at the end of the day, what's my view on this? I think it's a good thing. I think he might be I think his intentions might be a little misguided. I think it's more of a case of, I didn't want to fund this art centre and now I've got an excuse to get rid of it. I think that's a misstep. But, that said, I fully support them losing the check for $25 million because they're laying off workers. That $25 million is supposed to go towards businesses to help keep paying staff, to help keep people employed through this economic downturn, right? And it's costing the government $2 trillion. It's a lot of money, right? So at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, the JFK Art Center literally firing workers is a real something move, DICK move. So I think at the end of the day they deserve to lose the check for $25 million. I think it would have been better to push a better narrative than, I never liked this thing in the first place and now I have an excuse to get rid of it. And that's what it comes across as a bit to me. So, Bryan Steil, if you do manage to see this video, man, focus more on the fact that it was firing the workers and not so much on the, I didn't want to fund it in the first place and Nancy Pelosi made us and now we're going to use this to get rid of it. Sort of thing. Because that's a bit of a bad message to be putting up there, but yeah. Apart from that, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on his whole, I never wanted to fund this in the first place? Do you think that's a misstep? Do you think it's okay? Do you think the Republicans will still get behind him regardless? I think they will. And what about some of the Democrats? Because obviously the House is controlled by the Democrats. They're going to need some of them to support it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Remember, guys, 5 videos for the day. They're going to be spaced out between the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th because I have to go eat and my pizza's literally just turned up. So apart from that, guys, I'll see you guys soon. Have a great night and we'll see you in the next videos. Ciao!